face? Is that a face? Oh, is that good? You like that little girl? Oh, there's a fly. And fly's buzzing around. And Trixie, Trixie, is about to jump all over that fly. So I'm going to put this on pause so she does not notice, because I know this cat. I've had her for 7.5 years. Hang on. Yep. A cat, when people that aren't cat people fail to realize, where's the worse? There we go. Here. What people that aren't cat people fail to realize is that, well, cats are benevolent dictators. The good ones, at least. They do run their house. I'm paying the mortgage for Trixie and Norton, who will no doubt show up later. And you just embrace that and get used to the fact that even though you're surrounded by pedals, guitars, amplifiers, and what have you, here's who gets the love. I love this girl. Everybody needs a cat. All right, love. All right. Dad has to get out. Oh, God, hang on. Yep, as expected. Here's Norton. Say hi, Norton. Come on. Good girl. All right, now. Now, the whole intention of this video is to talk about Chicago Stompworks pedals. All right, I guess I do look at the dot on top of the screen. It's a relatively new laptop, so I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Again, this is Chad White. This is Tips of the Broadcast Musician. I'm located here in the, well, actually I call it the Canyon now, but it's the Fortress of Solitude. Of course, located deep in the heart of the Amnesty International House of Pancakes, my home for these many years. It's been a long time since I've had a chance to do any of these things. There's a lot of stuff going on with the pandemic. I started working from home about 5 years back. I'm using my old music room as my home office. I'm actually sitting this where I would have my work stuff. But behind me, the fruits of my labors over lieu of these many moons. I'm more fortunate than I can possibly imagine. I've had some rough patches here. If you looked at any of the old videos, you'll see a gigantic, adorable cat. He's long gone. I lost him about 9 years back. My girlfriend died, later the same year. Things go wrong. Things happen, and you get by. My job has been just terrific. They've been just wonderful in the last several years. I'm surprisingly treated surprisingly well, considering we're in late stage capitalism here. So I'm not taken for granted. I'm actually paid more or less a living wage, so I can spoil my girlfriend and my mom rotten. Mom's 90. She's still living with me. Nuts, but she's supposed to be nuts, so it's cool. Okay, Chicago Stompworks. We're talking about Chicago Stompworks today. These are pedals made, as you might suspect, in the Chicago area. These are handmade. These are typically clones of old circuits. Stuff that's, if it was a film, it would have passed into public domain long ago. Give me just a moment here. I'm going to grab a couple things here. I've got some pedals next to me, and I want to see if I can bring up their website on a tablet so I can kind of show it. It's a little awkward, but so am I. So give me a second here. I'm learning how to use all this stuff, so appreciate the patience. All right, I managed to find both my tablet and the Chicago Stompworks website. Plain and simple, ChicagoStompworks.com. I am not a shill for them. I don't know them from anybody. Handmade in the USA, Chicago, Illinois. I'm sorry, Illinois. Suddenly I'm back in New Albany. I'm from a suburb of Louisville originally, although I've been in Arizona for 53 years. And occasionally I do say Chicago. And occasionally I do see Illinois. It's embarrassing, but welcome to me. So let's get back to the subject at hand here. They have some insanely good pedals, all clones of existing designs. They've got first generation Kalamazoo Rat clone, the Vermin, $65 with the artwork. Now those can take a while to order. Sometimes they are back ordered. Those can take a while. There's one that's based on the Red Llama. I'm not familiar with the Red Llama. $60 with the artwork. Now the thing is, a lot of these will sell in plain boxes for considerably less. I mean, lots less. The Black Fudge, by the way, I'm very curious about this one. It's a clone of the Maestro, the second generation Maestro Fudge, the one from the early 70s, which actually sounds good. It's not that tinny Green Acres one, that the FCZ one that I never cared for the Maestro first generation fuzz sound. Now that is a bare version of the Gray Speck. Now the Gray Speck is a clone of the first generation DoD 250, the Gray 250. Is a clean boost if you want it to be, and not so clean if you don't want it to be. There's a reason Ingve will run this in anything. I have seen him run it into a Freedom amp. Well, I still have my Electro-Harmonic Freedom amp, by the way, and this is great in that. And I've seen him run into a Plexi. It's great in both. I've run it through both. Without the ink, you can get one of these for $45, and they will ship faster without things, a lot faster. So let's take a look what else is on here. I've got 3 others here I want to go over. And I'll see if I can do an A-B. It's going to make a long video, so sorry. Let's see. Brian May Treble Boost clone. Now, Kiss made me want to play guitar. The guitarist like Brian May made me want to play it well. One steak and nut. It's the circuit is based on an open. Apparently, it's an open design. It's not a trademark design or anything. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a single knob, and I can see why Brian May will sell his own brand doesn't have a knob, because this is where it is usually. I've got an AC-15, a couple of them actually. I've got a straight one with a greenback and a valve reactor AC-15. And there's Norton again behind me. But this is fantastic. I've also run it into a Hot Rod Deluxe. It's pretty good. I have a Fender 75, which is more or less based on a cat. That's more or less based on cat. You maybe for I was talking about. Well, anyway, this is a good pedal. Are you done? Are you done? She's done. Hang on. Can I edit this? Can I edit this? I don't know how to edit. As I was saying, I've also had a chance to run this into a Fender 75. Now, that was their last hand-wired amp. I believe mine dates back to like 80, somewhere between 80 and 81. It's good through that as well. I wouldn't imagine this is going to be worth a damn going into a solid state amp. I wouldn't even think like a trans tube band. I've got a trans tube band. I'm not even going to bother. But this has its place, and it's good, and the price is right, to say the least. Let's take a look here. Now this this is another one. Now let's see if they got on the page here. This is a Black Russian clone. Now I've had, I think it's a version 8 Black Russian for ages. I got it in a trade for more or less, well, not a trade. I bought it through Craigslist, and it more or less cost me $10. And I've had it for ages, and it's terrible construction, but God, it sounds good. This one I believe was $40. It's another plain box, and in order to get it over $50, because shipping I think is $5.99, or at least it was at the time. If you didn't go over $50, so I got some Chinese made strings. I'll be honest with you, I can't tell the difference between cheap vodka and the $50 stuff. And unless it's an acoustic, I can't tell the difference between String Joy and the cheapest strings you can possibly buy. So, I pushed it over $50. So instead of having to pay shipping, I got strings. And this sounds fantastic. Let's see if they got them on the current website. Okay, correction. The one that was $40 was the a different pedal. I got a clone of the Script MXR Micro Amp, and that was $40, and it was in a Barebox. So that's the one where I got the strings and stuff to put over. The Barebox Black Russian is $50, and it is there. And by the way, the Barebox Treble, I'm sorry, not Treble, the Micro Amp, the MXR Micro Amp is also there for $40. It's worth a look. They've got some wonderful stuff here. I mean, my God, there are a couple other circuits I'm looking into, various circuits based on the various muffs. There's super high input impedance boost. I'm not sure what that's cloning. Voodoo Lab Overdrive. Everything in here is pretty much based on either an octave design or an overdrive or fuzz design. Well, the micro amp being an exception. That's more of a clean boost. There's a fuzz face op amp emulator, Barebox Greenie. Let's see what else was on here. Well, I am not seeing the octave. There was a Green Ringer clone. It was based on, I believe, it was the old Dan Armstrong Green Ringer. So I hope I got that right. It's an octave, like you'll find in Octavia, or the later fuzz tone or French toast octave. But it had no distortion whatsoever. So you run it from the clean boost. It's one of those kind of odd things where you expect the dirt and it's not there, and it's kind of cool. And much the same way with a really loud high watt amplifier, where you get it to feed back like it's distorted as all get up, but each note rings like a bell, just as clean as it could possibly be. But you're deaf as opposed within an hour and a half anyway. Kind of cool. Let me plug one of these in. Hang on. That was an interesting 90 minutes. Here's what happened. I was intending to do an A-B between the Chicago Stompworks Black Russian clone and my actual V8 Black Russian. It does not want to plug into the adapter setup that I have. It's only the 9-inch, the 9-volt output. And my rechargeables are dead, so much for that one. So let's just work with the pedal itself. Bonehead simple. It's 3 knobs. Pretty much what I have here. What I would typically do with any big muff, I crank the output, and I typically do it. Mess with the distortion of it. I tend to start with a low, if not all the way down. What I'm playing here, this looks like a Gibson. This is not a Gibson. This is an Epiphone that somebody really wanted to pretend it was a Gibson. They took off the Epiphone thing and put a Gibson stock piece there. And they put some god-awful kit pickups in here. I took them out, replaced them with 2 ProBuckers out of a 2024 inspired by Gibson Les Paul. These pickups are fantastic. Just fantastic. Including the labor and the pickups themselves and the cost of the guitar, which included an Epiphone case. I was out less than $300. I'm not kidding, $300, including the pickups and the labor. And I can still sell the pickup and get $30, $40. So this is great. So here's the guitar as is. The amplifier, by the way, is a Valve Reactor AC-15. Look them up. I got one in mint condition for nothing. I'll go into the details later. Now it's not the time. I'm talking about a few pedals. So here it is with the muff clone. Tone, 10 o'clock. Level is cranked, and the drive is all the way down. Again, this is just a starting point. Let's put the drive up to about 9. I'll turn that reverb down. Oh, reverb is a bit much. There we go. Yeah, we don't need reverb. Gotta watch the levels. My next door neighbor is an absolute sweetheart. She has a toddler, so when he can get some rest, she can get some rest. So I don't need to bother her. but extremely light, extremely light. So here's the point. You get that sound. You get that sound. Here it is with the, I've got the level at about 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. I have the drive at noon, and I have the treble at noon. Let's see what we get. Copyright control. Okay. Point is, it does the job. It does it cheaply. It runs on a damn 9-volt battery. And this type of cell, believe it or not, doesn't matter what you get. You go to the Dollar Tree and you get the cheapest 9-volt batteries they got. Believe it or not, it's a low drain circuit that was designed before the invention of the commercial alkaline cell. Well, it had been invented, but it was not being used for devices. Devices were built around the carbon zinc battery. So something like this, doesn't matter what the hell you put it into. I've got it in one spot. Somebody threw in a one spot with a tuner pedal. I got them both for $15. I never used a tuner. I got one of these suckers. And that one spot is perfect. As is that Vox. So let's work on the micro amp next. All right, and like my Black Russian, the old MXR Command Series preamp has decided it does want to work, and the battery's just fine, like it's supposed to be. Again, it's based on the original M133, which did predate the adaptation of the alkaline cell. So again, it works with whatever battery you can find. As long as it's got a half a charge, it's beautiful. Some distortions and overdrive actually do some nice stuff when the battery's starting to die. You get that kind of Neil Young sag. It dies quickly when that happens, so it's not going to last you long when that begins. Again, carbon zincs are better for that too. They die on a slower curve, which in one way makes them worse for some devices, but for a dirt box, it can be pretty cool as you get that gradual slide on a carbon zinc. In the meantime, it was intended as a clean boost. It's got the LM741 op amp, which I believe was pretty much the first commercially used one for pedals, especially. And it was intended as clean. Doesn't have clipping dice, to the best of my knowledge. But if you put it in an overdrive or overdriven amplifier, it will push over the top. So roll the highs down just a touch. Here it is, just as a clean boost. Again, in that same AC15. Clean tone. Now here is the actual MXR, which is 40 years old and has a bad switch. It's working. Minimal boost. But unless you hit it hard, it does not increase the gain. The Command Series does have a tone knob, which the original MXR does not have. There is a deluxe Morlex. I can't recall the name of a custom shop boost that does have a boost on the treble as well. That's all. It's a high pass, I believe, but it's terrific and it's nice. Now here is the clone. Again, no treble knob, just a boost knob, which I have currently set for about 9:30. Well, I'm sorry, I can't tell time. Digital watch for about 2 o'clock. Now here it is clean again. It adds a bit of hair and volume, and that's all it's supposed to add. Of course, it'll clean up like crazy. You got any boost, it's going to do it. Now, here it is with the overdriven setting. The VR, the valve reactor AC15, is definitely intended for higher gain. It's a metal amp if you want to be a metal amp, which is weird because I grew up with an AC15, AC30. Ed Sullivan Show, The British Invasion, and everybody from Lenny Kravitz to Radiohead to The Edge to, geez, me, So here is the overdriven sound. A little more volume. That's not even. Hang on. Okay, now here it is again with the MXR and the crappy switch. Definitely some hair. Here's is a Chicago Stompworks clone. Again, you can get one of these things naked for about 40 bucks. You will pay shipping unless you can get something to push the order over 50 bucks, at which point, no, new strings. I clean this one up, but now it's not that time. So, again, here is the CSW, the Chicago Stompworks. Gain is still set at 2. Going in overdrive. Very dynamic. Yeah. If you decide to go real heavy, and this does have a 2-stage overdrive, so I can get this with way more dirt than a 64-year-old man is going to use. I'm first generation metal. For me, the pinnacle of metal is side 2 of Rainbow Rising. Sure, that stuff from the 80s is fine if you like Hairspray. Rainbow Rising, side 2. Here's more dirt. Put 9s on a Gibson. You can get 4-fret bends any day of the week, and they'll still stay in tune if you got decent machines. This one's got decent machines. So, what do we got next? Treble boost. This might be a bit different. Hang on. I'll make this one brief. Like I said, I love my neighbor. She's a great woman. I love her kid. Good kid. I don't want to bother him, but you need to hear this properly cranked. Here's what I got going. I'm going through the clean channel on the AC-15 VR, and I have it dimed. I do have a master volume, thank God, which means bedroom volume. Doesn't really have as much hair as a cranked AC-15, and that's limitation of the software itself, but not software, of the circuitry itself. But it's easy to get around. Just crank it a bit with something else. So here is the cranked clean channel. That trebles down. Actually, it's up a bit. I've got about 1 o'clock. Let's put it down just a hair to 12. And here is the treble boost on 12. Not much of a difference. You push a little more of the presence, a little more of the high mids. A treble boost is not a true treble boost. It's more of a high mids, more of a presence thing, I believe. Let's dime it, because when Brian May has the thing on, it's just on. It's not, it doesn't even have a damn knob. I'm hearing it. You hear that hiss? Yeah. The man's been running through a noise gate for 50 years, and there's a reason. Here's something from Queen too. We hope you really like. Again, copyright control. Now, what I'm going to do is this. Let's go ahead and put it through the overdriven channel, but I'm only going to put it to the first stage. The first stage, if you know how to tweak it, can approximate a dimed, a normal channel on an AC-15, and I do mean approximate. It's not going to fool anybody that actually has an AC-15, and I actually have a tube one as well. I'm very, very lucky, and I can find the deals. Don't ask me why. Okay, now there's the dry overdriven channel on the low overdrive setting, the low gain, or moderate, I guess, if you want to call it by comparison. Now I'm just going to dime the Brian May. Let's see what else we get here. My clock radio is louder than this amp right now. And my hearing's fine. But this is a great thing to have if you have something that's going to push the mids a bit. I have tried it in my Hot Rod Deluxe. It's good. I've tried it in my Fender 75, but the Fender 75 takes an enormous amount of volume just to get a decent sound. Even if you have it on the 15-watt setting, it's remarkably loud. Next, we got the gray Speck, the gray DoD 250 hand. Excellent. All right. Next, we got the gray Speck, which again is a not TL. I'm sorry. It's is it a 741? Yes, it's a 741 based preamp pedal based on the gray and early yellow DoD 250. Now, I had a DoD 250 reissue, which I believe, actually, it might not have been a reissue. It's been so long since I sold it. If you see one of my old videos, you'll see I have it. I sold it to a gentleman named Randy Clemens, who was the lead guy in a local Dead tribute band, one of the sweetest guys you ever met in your life. My band actually opened for Ian Hunter, Mick Ronson, and the Dickies back in the day. And aside from being in front of a crowd and just going nuts in front of people, the high point for me was playing Dark Star with his band, Top Dead Center, in front of no more than 100 people. Just so good. He's such a good guy. He passed about 5 years ago. And his wife passed about a year after that. But, I've reached an age where, you're going to go to more funerals, or weddings at this stage in your life. So it's the price you pay for, like I said, making it past 30. So I don't have that pedal to compare it to, is my point. Sorry, the modeling crap. But I do have a couple of clones, but there's no point in comparing a clone to a clone. I've got a Demon FX 741 preamp, which knocks off the not the Dynacomp. I'm sorry. It knocks off the Micro Amp. It knocks off the MXR distortion. Plus, it knocks off the gray Speck. It knocks off the DoD 250. It does them all pretty well. Problem is, I flipped the switch. It dropped in it. The little toggle broke. So I'm not sure what mode it's broken into. I do also have a D250X. The cheap little Motsky. It's the size of one of those old zingers. If you take the icing off, it's tiny. It's awesome, and I've got it, and it switches back and forth between the MXR distortion 2 sound, which I never use, and the 250 itself. I believe it's based on the gray Speck. I'm not sure. This is the gray Speck, and this one I actually bought with the artwork. I don't know who this guy is, but I owe debt of gratitude. Let's hear it without. Like I said, no point in comparing it to a clone. Almost everybody's had some variant on this. If you like Fish, I'm not a fan, but I respect them as musicians. Trey swears by the old 250 Gray, and is probably playing some modern variant on it because, like any old original 250, you keep it at home. You don't take it out of the house. You find something that sounds like it, and you lock it in a box. Same with some of my old boxes and a couple of my old guitars. I got a couple of rigs that don't leave the house because they're rigs. Although, I don't know, if I was actually playing with a real gig, it'd be worth it. We had some setbacks in my band, so we haven't jammed in a while. So here's the gray. I currently have it 12 o'clock on both the loud, which is the level, and the grr, which is the drive. Now here's the dry sound again. Let's do this. I'm going to turn the clean, not the clean, the AC-15. I am in the clean channel. And I got it down a bit. I'll turn the advanced for longbow touch. The whole point is I want to show, there we go. I want to be on top of a clean amp. A little bit of hair, but not much. Again, neighbors. It's still daylight, but the toddler sleeps when he sleeps, and I know enough about mothers to know that typically they sleep when the kids sleep. So here we go. Again, that's the dry sound, clean sound, whatever you call it. Here's the DoD. Again, both knobs are on 12. Now, like most preamps, I get better response if I crank the level rather than the dirt. The dirt can make some highs, some transient noises that I can't always put a leash on. Although with this one, I can kind of put a leash on. Okay, so what do you say we dime the volume? Surprising little noise being added. These are great pedals. The noise floor on these suckers is astonishing. These are boutique pedals built for the price of a used Taiwan DS1. I've owned DS1s. They are terrible. They're not for me. I've owned Japanese. I've owned Taiwan. They're terrible. I've owned a couple of clones. Donner makes a fantastic clone, oddly enough, for half the price. The SD one, on the other hand, the Super Overdrive, asymmetrical clipping. Otherwise, it's more or less the pedal that the tube screamer, I believe, is based on. So again, the GUR is still on 12, and the level is cranked, going into a slightly hairy clean channel on the AC15. Rusty, sorry. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to turn that's a bit. Now I'm going to dime. Let's do this. Let's do a compare and contrast, as they used to say in 8th grade English. Hated 8th grade English. My teacher had Hemingway. But that was a 12-year-old reading The Sun Also Rises. All right? By the end of the semester, we were all glad Hemingway shot himself because it saved us the trouble of going to Key West. You know, who the hell's going to let a 12-year-old on a bus to Key West, especially if he's armed? Unless you're in Texas to begin with, at which point they'll, probably ask what you're carrying and, compare notes. Okay, here we go. Double dimed, going into a clean AC50. Isn't that lovely? No, it's not, but I'm making it up. You don't dime, is my point. You don't dime the gain on a 250 unless you're already going to something that's, I can't imagine how you want to get around or how you want to put use to that noise. That's something you gain. But listen to that sound, man. Okay, I'll just embrace it during the right. Before. After. The 741 is an amazing op amp. All right. Put some clipping diodes on it. You can get the MXR Distortion 2. You put less diodes on it, still clipping, you get the 250. You remove the diodes altogether, you get the M133. You get the Micro Amp. This is one op amp getting 3 distinct sounds, all of which are somewhat related, all of which are available insanely cheap. Chicago Stompworks. This is not a plug. I never met the people. I don't know them from Adam. All I know is that they make a wonderful American-made product for a hell of a price. And I will eventually buy something else. I'm thinking I'm probably going to get that the Black Fudge, the second generation Maestro Fuzz, the one that actually sounds like the 70s rather than the 60s. Good stuff. Again, my name's Chad White. This is Tips for the Broadcast Musician. I'm here, still figuring out how all this hardware works. Located deep in the heart of the Amnesty International House of Pancakes. This is the Canyon. I'm Chad. Y'all have a nice day. God, I hope I know how to edit this stuff.